I'm so pumped that this is happening now.
Very hands-on. And yeah, we do have a vision. We absolutely have a vision. And we will be competitive in recruiting and retaining the best talent out there.
I get to make a video like this once every 2 years, maybe once a year if I'm really lucky, because we rarely get any updates on Andrew Luck. But it seems like we got a pretty significant one today because he's officially announced his return to football. So before we get to the content, we are about 20,000 subscribers away from getting to 1 million subscribers. So if you want to help us make this final push to 1 million before the end of the year, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications. And now that we get all that out of the way, break! We had so much success on Thanksgiving with the Prize Picks free square. If you follow me on Instagram, then you would have seen my pick of Tyreek Hill, Jonnu Smith, and David Montgomery, which hit for a 5x return. Our square of Josh Jacobs and Devon Achane also converted. And my favorite part about this is getting DMs like this. One of my followers made $225 out of my picks on Thanksgiving. And I got many more DMs of you guys hitting with my picks as well. If you haven't signed up for Prize Picks, click on my link in the description or use my promo code Mikerophone to get $50 when you make an entry of $5 or more. We're going to be making picks for the rest of the season for the NBA and NFL, and I give away my picks for free on Instagram and Snapchat. And thank you, Prize Picks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? I'm not going to give a gigantic recap over Andrew Luck's career because I wouldn't be able to do him as much justice as what we did on our whole career piece on him 2 years ago. This is a topic that I've been very passionate about. We uploaded a video called The Tragic Mismanagement of Andrew Luck's Career, and if you missed it, I'll leave a link to it in the end screen, or if you want to go ahead and watch it and come back to this video, that way I could get 2 views instead of 1, then you can do that as well. But I'm sure everyone watching this content understands who Andrew Luck is, because every time there's a once-in-a-generation type prospect, whether it's Trevor Lawrence or Caleb Williams, we always say that player is the next coming of Andrew Luck, because Andrew Luck was truly the last #1 overall pick to live up to the hype. And the tragedy of it all is the fact that he had an incompetent GM that truly didn't know how to build around him. Some highlights include trading a first-round pick for Trent Richardson, never getting him a true #1 wide receiver, although he had an incredible rapport with T.Y. Hilton, never building an offensive line around him, which is eventually what led to the demise of his career. But Andrew Luck was one of the most prolific quarterbacks we've ever seen in our time, and you can make the argument that he is the sole reason why Frank Reich doesn't have a job right now. Because in 2018, his final season in the NFL, he would return after completely remaking his throwing motion, throwing for over 4,500 passing yards, 39 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. He'd win NFL Comeback Player of the Year, would duel Patrick Mahomes in the divisional round before losing that season. And then a few months later, when the Indianapolis Colts were figuring out how they could continue building around Andrew Luck, he came out and said this.
But I am going to retire. This is not an easy decision. Honestly, it's the hardest decision of my life. For the last 4 years or so, I've been in this cycle of injury, pain, rehab, injury, pain, rehab, and I've felt stuck in it. And the only way I see out is to no longer play football. It's taken my joy of this game because of how I feel. I know that I am unable to pour my heart and soul into this position, which would not only sell myself short, but the team in the end as well. And it's sad, but I also have a lot of clarity in this.
This shocked the entire football world because Andrew Luck didn't retire in April. He retired in the preseason. And immediately, Frank Reich's career was ruined. I mean, it was truly one of the saddest things we've ever seen in sports. You never see a player that is as talented as Andrew Luck, an individual that made it to the Pro Bowl 4 times, led the NFL in passing touchdowns in 2014, won NFL Comeback Player of the Year, and still had a lot of good football left in the tank, just walk away from the game, especially considering how much money he could have earned. But money wasn't the top factor in Andrew Luck's decision. It was the fact that he was suffering so many injuries, and all the injuries that Andrew suffered throughout his career finally took their toll on him, and he just couldn't take it anymore. He documented how excruciating it was to consistently be rehabilitating these injuries, and some of the injuries that he was suffering were so graphic, especially the laceration to his kidney, which resulted in him urinating donating blood. I mean, it was some really graphic stuff, and a part of me just felt really angry at the time that the Colts didn't do a better job protecting him, because this man was sacked 174 times throughout his NFL career, and he only played in 6 full seasons throughout his career. I personally commended Andrew Luck for his decision because it's clearly not an easy one. It's a situation that we see Tua in consistently. It's really hard to walk away from the sport you love, something that you've given your all to that early in your career, and walking away from potentially making hundreds of millions of dollars. Following his retirement in 2018, there's consistently been rumors about Andrew Luck returning to football, whether it's for the Indianapolis Colts or a different team, but that never ended up happening. And at this point, you could put those rumors to rest because he's 35 years old, so he's clearly not going to play quarterback anymore, but we have seen him from time to time. For example, a year ago, we saw Captain Andrew Luck on a college football broadcast.
Andrew Luck is with us, everybody.
Great. The war is over. We are in greener pastures in California.
Apart from that, we found out that Andrew Luck was coaching high school football. And then today, we officially got word that Andrew Luck was returning to football, although he's not playing quarterback for an NFL team. As a matter of fact, I think he's in a role that is perfect for him. So according to Pete Thamel, former Stanford star Andrew Luck is returning to the Cardinals to become the football program's general manager, Luck told ESPN. Luck accepted a new role at Stanford, which will place him above the entire program and is a distinct evolution from the traditional college GM. We've seen notable individuals taking on roles such as this before. For example, Adrian Wojnarowski left NBA media so he could be a general manager for his alma mater, St. Bonaventures. Now, Andrew Luck would comment on this situation via Captain Andrew Luck. "Dearest mother, the battleground has called for my glorious return. I'm thrilled to say I shall heed that call. I have re-enlisted. While my sidearm is permanently holstered, I shall help train other young men to be great soldiers. Please send care packages of squirrel oil and skunk cakes to our base camp at Stanford. I love you, Andrew." But that's not the only information we would get from Andrew Luck. He'd actually get interviewed by his former teammate at McAfee, which I thought this was really freaking cool. Check this out.
We miss you in Indianapolis. We miss you in the football world. I speak for everybody in the football world. It is great to see you back as a face of big-time football.
I think this is the perfect move for Andrew Luck because clearly he's never lost his love for football, and clearly he's one of the most intelligent minds we've ever seen in NFL history play the quarterback position. Andrew Luck famously could have declared for the 2011 NFL draft, but he decided to return to Stanford for one more year so he could complete his degree. In hindsight, maybe he should have declared for the 2011 NFL draft. Could you imagine if Andrew Luck had the 2015 Carolina Panthers? He would have won a Super Bowl, or he would have gotten a Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck Super Bowl in 2015. Obviously, there's a butterfly effect, but I'm just saying maybe he wouldn't have suffered as many injuries. But I digress. I think this is the perfect role for Andrew Luck. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks that Stanford has ever had. He has an undergraduate degree in architecture, and he returned in 2022 to get a master's. And Luck even admitted that there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for him to get to where he wants to be, saying that there's an understanding that Stanford, like many of the high academic schools, has been slow to the draw regarding the realities of modern college football, name, image, and likeness considerations, as well as the portal and leveraging essentially unlimited transfers. The Cardinals, who just completed back-to-back 3-9 seasons, have struggled in the new era, which is why this new general manager role has become a thing in college football, primarily because NIL completely changed the landscape of college football. Players want to go to schools that give them the best opportunities to build their brand, potentially line up their pockets, or position themselves to play in the NFL, which is why you saw a legendary coach like Nick Saban retire following the season last year, because the landscape is so much different now.
We are under no illusion about the landscape of college sports. Believe deeply in the unique value proposition of Stanford and Stanford athletics.
Now, Luck mentioned that he will be on a steep learning curve and that he lacks hands-on front office experience, as his football experience comes from Stanford, 7 NFL seasons, and 2 seasons as a volunteer assistant coach at nearby Palo Alto High School. school, so close to Stanford that he could hear the band. I think I'm entering this with my eyes wide open and aware of my strengths and my limitations. I know there's a lot that I do not know, but part of that makes it exciting. I'm excited to work with Bernard and Troy. I've got a lot to learn from Troy. He's been a winner everywhere he's been. Now bear in mind, not a lot of schools are doing what Stanford is doing, but when you're a program that has just completed back-to-back 3 and 9 seasons, you'll clearly try anything that you possibly can to right the ship. At the end of the day, I think this is an incredible move for Stanford, and I'm just happy to see Andrew Luck doing something football related, because he was such a brilliant football mind that I really felt like had a lot more to contribute on the football field. And I do respect his decision to retire and preserve his health, but I really believe that Andrew Luck can completely change the fortunes of Stanford, and maybe one day we'll even see him in an NFL front office. Let me know in the comment section down below how you guys feel about this. If you don't know Andrew Luck's story, I couldn't do it justice in this very brief news video. We have a whole video on the tragic mismanagement of Andrew Luck's career. It's something I feel very passionate about because he was one of my favorite players of the 2010s, and I document the series of unfortunate events that messed up his career. And if you want to see any parallels to what Tua is going through, we'll leave a link to that in the end screen as well. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.